Good morning.
Morning.
Good morning. I'm thinking about practical politics and where can we go where we have the most political power. And I know that politicians are very, very, very keen to please older people because older people vote. And so, well, let me ask this first. This follows up on what Gloria was saying and doing. How many people here are comfortable doing public speaking? Raise your hand. That's good. How many people are uncomfortable doing it? I'm talking to you. Because every one of us could be up here doing just what I'm doing, or Gloria's doing, or Deborah, or Kathy. Because we all have our own personal story. And people really are interested in the stories. My story, part of it is that I have 5 children, 10 grandchildren, and it seems at least 6, there may be others on the way, great-grandchildren.
Wow.
So, if we would go to city council meetings, most of them are televised. And what would we would accomplish? Well, you can tell, usually you have 2 or 3 minutes to talk. You can sit and talk over. So you could say, I'm so-and-so. And I'm concerned about nuclear war. I'm also concerned about rent control in this city. Because they're all connected, and that's what Gloria was saying. So what have you done just by saying that at a city council meeting? Or you can say, like a friend of mine, Peter Kakos, we went on last Thursday and said, I'm going to cook up a manual with some friends of mine on what do we do if there's a nuclear attack in Chicopee, Massachusetts, because of what's going on in Ukraine. So he was on for 2 minutes. Probably 1,000 people in the town were watching him and listening to that. They're like, holy shit. This guy is talking about medicines that we'll have for our children, iodine tablets. There's some people who are talking about giving people suicide pills. How do we get ready for something when there's no shelters? All this. So right there, he's already talked to a lot of people. And he's talked to people as an older person. So when politicians hear this, they're already worried. Because a job of a politician is to pacify the public so things can go on as they are. The people who are making money can keep making money. And then if people get in the street, or especially old people, that is bad for politics. It's bad for pacifying. It shows that a bunch of people who are supposed to sit down and shut up aren't doing that anymore. What's going on? So, a lot of us are probably part of some civic group, some sorority, some Rotary Club, some whatever, where those of us who are very uncomfortable speaking will have to say, I got to do this. However bad it is, however nervous I am, however I feel like I'm going to make a total 100,000% fool out of myself. It's better to make a fool out of yourself for the right thing than make a fool out of yourself for shutting up. So, and then we have to ask, oh, well, what are we going to talk about? We have to go further. What are we going to talk about? And David was talking about, we're going to talk about the Ukraine war. Because we all know this is a total dead end. We've got children who, some of them can't pay their bills. Some of them can barely pay their bills. Some of them are burdened with this insane criminal repayment of student loans that is That's monumental national fraud. And we can talk about that and say, I'm a grandparent. I can see what's going on with my children. And meanwhile, you ought to want to walk us into a war, first with Ukraine, then with China. You put out a budget that says the Pentagon's primary, they call it pacing threat, is China. And how can most Americans think that China's a problem if Walmart sells 70 or 80% of what they sell from China? So I'm going to go to war with China and I can't buy the junk that I buy out of Walmart. So there's a lot of contradictions that we feel within ourselves. And I'm just touching on some of them, but I'm sure each person here has these contradictions in their lives that they can talk to people about. And so it's kind of like a self-recruiting drive. And then you have to go further and say, here we are, we're saying, we have to stop killing people because it's bad for the environment. We have to stop killing people because it costs too much money. We have to stop killing people because who knows what. Well, why should we live in a society, why are we living in a place where you have to explain to people why it's in their self-interest to not go out and kill other people? What is that about? How do we, suppose it's free. Suppose we can have everything we want in this society. Healthcare, education, housing. And then we can still go out and kill people. Is that fine? Is that good? That's democratic politics. Because it says, I'm going to bring home to you what you need while you give me permission to go out and slaughter to get it. That's the practical reality of what goes on in this society, Democratic and Republican politics. So probably it's a little more stingy. They want to take more out of our pocket to kill people. Democrats say, well, we'll take a little bit. So there's a lot to talk about. And if you look inside how you are feeling, you'll find exactly the thing to say to them. Thank you.